On to our last speaker of the day, Janeth Leon Martinez is a SoCal native and is a 2-year and 4-month stage 3 stomach cancer survivor with poorly differentiated adenocarcinoma with signet ring cell. She can explain that to you. She supports and helps women advocate for themselves through Stomach Cancer Sisters, a support group for women worldwide on Facebook. Her goal is to turn Stomach Cancer Sisters into a nonprofit. Yay. We need more. And so she wants to help women be seen and heard by all doctors. Stomach cancer affects every part of us physically, mentally, and emotionally. She has been living without a stomach for 2 years and is very grateful for her curls after being completely bald due to chemo. Janeth has always been altruistic from serving in the United States Navy to being a 2-time gestational surrogate to 2 gorgeous May babies in 2018 and 2020. And for her, helping and serving others is what fills her heart. I welcome Janeth.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for starting off with the anxiety part. So that explains why I'm so nervous up here. Thank you all for being here today in person and virtually. My name is Janeth León Martinez, and I am a stage 3 stomach cancer survivor. But more importantly, I am a stomach cancer advocate. Before I get into all that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself before cancer. Okay. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I am the eldest of 3, and as the only daughter, I am the favorite child. I became a certified nursing assistant at 16 while I was still in high school, and I joined the United States Navy at the end of high school. I was only 17. So of course I needed my dad's permission. As an Ecuadorian immigrant who gained his citizenship, he was very proud to sign the forms. I served on the USS Harper's Ferry, LSD 49. I became a registered dental assistant in 2006. I am that person who enjoys surgical procedures. Thank you for the slides and the videos, that was great. I'm not easily grossed out. So after all this, I became a client services supervisor for a home care company specializing in caregiving and hospice. My passion has always been to help others. I became a mother at 21, and then a mother of 2 at 23. In 2018, I birthed a 3rd child for my best friend. Then in September 2019, I became pregnant with a 4th child, my 2nd surrogate babe. This was my last journey, and an unforgettable one to say the least. I was pregnant and gave birth during the pandemic in 2020. Everything went as smooth as can be on May 8th, 2020. For the first and last natural birth, I decided to pass on the comfy hospital meds and opted for a natural water birth. All this so that my friends would be present at their child's birth. This decision was made because of the pandemic, because don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of epidurals. Other than the water birth, all my pregnancies and deliveries mirrored each other. I bounced back every time, no problems or complications. Postpartum was where the last one was different. I was still experiencing pains on my lower left side. I assumed it was my uterus that was angry with me. This was where the baby would kick and I'd feel pains, but as a woman, we're used to putting it off. It got so bad that I saw my OBGYN, and she thought I might have an infection. but advised me to go directly to the ER should the pain get worse, which is exactly what happened the very next morning. So you're going to come along with my very traumatic journey of 2020. May 30th, 2020, I woke up in the worst pain I've ever had. This pain led me to an apocalyptic trip to the ER, where I was put on morphine and I cried because of the relief. I had a CT done and told the pain was due to an ulcer. I was alone. I was told I needed to see a GI. I had no clue what a GI was. I'm sure more was said, but I started zoning out, and I can't remember due to the drugs. They were good drugs. I didn't realize how long it'd been since I wasn't in any pain. While I waited for the next appointment, I was advised to take over-the-counter heartburn medication to alleviate the pain. July 14th, 2020. At 38 years young, my GI, Dr. Sharma, performed my first ever endoscopy with biopsy. Yeah, I thought that sounded really cool. I was excited to find out what they could do to help fix the issue because I never wanted to feel that pain again. I was so happy at the idea of being pain-free that I cried. Crying was becoming a trend. That physical, mental, and emotional relief that I didn't realize I needed. All of me just let go or could breathe or both. On July 17th, 2020, I received the call that changed my life forever. You have stomach cancer. I don't know if it was better that I received that call while I was at home. After all, it was a pandemic, and we were not going out unless it was absolutely necessary. Everything from that moment was warp speed. I got the call around 12:30 in the afternoon, and by 8 p.m., I was back in the hospital, getting a CT with oral and IV contrast. I was just nauseous, trying to wrap my head around everything that happened in the last 8 hours. July 20th, 2020, I went in to see a new GI for the CT results. My GI, Dr. Sharma, had just moved to another hospital. So I had a new doctor taking over. She was so nonchalant about everything. You're so young. I'm sure they caught it early. I'm sure it's just stage 1 or at most stage 2. I left that appointment with more questions than answers. I'm a realist. I thrive on information, good or bad. The more I know, the calmer I am. So as you can imagine, this appointment didn't give me any solid information or answers. July 22nd, 2020, I was scheduled for an endoscopy with ultrasound to give the tumor board more information. July 28th, 2020, the day of the appointment for the tumor board results, my dad had accompanied me, while my best friend waited in the waiting area. I was hoping that this is where I'd hear some good news, not for myself, but for my dad. Sorry. Unfortunately, Dr. Gerges shared that I was stage 3 with poorly differentiated adenocarcinoma with signet ring cell. The only part I understood was stage 3. Not great, but not the worst case, right? My dad's face said it all. I've never seen him so worried in my life. We were heading home when I decided to change the mood. And we went out for food and drinks. Sorry. Thank you. Awesome. I love therapy, so this is great. Okay. We were heading home when I decided to change the mood, and we went out for food and drinks. It was just the beginning of this next chapter, and I wasn't going to waste any chance to enjoy a meal and a drink with my family. August 11th, 2020. 2 weeks later, I had my port placed, which I still have because I went through too much in order to get it removed this quickly. I will wait. I had my port placed and laparoscopic exploratory surgery with Dr. Gerges. August 20th, 2020. My first chemo appointment was terrifying. I was crying in the car before heading out, saying I didn't want to go. I knew I had a choice, but I also knew that I was going to fight this, even if I'm kicking and screaming while I get there. The plan was to have 4 rounds of flot, then surgery, then 4 more rounds of flot. My second chemo appointment, I lost it on a nurse. It was the pandemic. I wasn't allowed to have anyone with me. It was lonely and scary. Not at all what you see in the movies with people showing up and being there with you. I was alone. But for some reason, the woman in her 70s next to me was allowed to have her son with her. Her son who wasn't paying any attention to his mother, but talking about his cars on the phone loudly. My nurse came to check on me, and I just broke down. I told her how it wasn't fair that I had to do this alone because I'm young. I'm also scared. I'm also feeling like crap. I also need loved ones with me. This tearful conversation got me connected to the best cancer therapist ever. I highly recommend getting a cancer therapist. I don't think it's working. After 4 rounds of flot, I was ready for my surgery, total gastrectomy. December 2nd, 2020, Dr. Gerges removed my entire stomach robotically. Honestly, I'm still getting used to the idea that my body is taking care of me without a stomach. Go team. Side note, I had a glorious walking epidural for 8 days. I give full credit to this being the reason my recovery wasn't as painful. I was doing laps the very first day. I learned quickly that my brain no longer got the "we are starving" signal. This is hard to understand. Having to remind myself via alarms or verbal reminders from others is the new life. Post-op went as follows. 3 rounds of flow. My oncologist removed the T first round post-op. He felt that it's too hard for somebody without a stomach to get the T. Then 1 round of FL 1 round of FL with half of O because I got a crazy allergic reaction that almost landed me in the emergency room. All these things were scary, nauseating, painful, and exhausting, but I made it to the other side. And now, for now, I am Ned. During the beginning of my cancer diagnosis, I searched social media for others like me because I had never heard of stomach cancer. I needed to know that more people were surviving it than the statistics stated, which was I had a 32% chance of survival in 5 years, according to the internet. Yes, Dr. Google. I connected with a young woman named Lexi Patton, and she connected me with Abby Mejia. A group chat started, and when it got too big for Instagram, we moved over to Facebook. And this is where Stomach Cancer Sisters was created, with the OG 30 sisters to begin with. A support group for young women with stomach cancer associated female caregivers. Here's where I found love, support, and most of all, true understanding. We help each other advocate for ourselves. To date, we've welcomed about 400 women into our group. Unfortunately, we have had many losses. Our original founders, Lexi and Abby, among the many sisters that I personally love and bonded with. This is a community, yet this community has become a sisterhood. We share the joys of the wins, no matter how small. We share tears and lift each other up when times are hard and scary. That's also how I met Teresa. I would be lost without her, my mentor, my sister. This coming December 2nd, 2022, I will be celebrating 2 years of a stomachless life. These years have not been easy. I've had to learn how to eat and drink all over again, learn how to live with this new system and the foods I could no longer enjoy, live with pains, nausea, vomiting, dumping syndrome, nerve damage, exhaustion, and anxiety. I am living despite all this. I'm still here for a reason, and I want to do good. I want to see everyone thriving. Advocacy is the most important part of beating this cancer today. I have had to advocate for myself to get certain tests done, procedures redone, in order to get the biopsies that I know are vital for proper surveillance and getting answers for the pains that I am feeling. I currently have a colon intussusception that was found during my surveillance CT. I had been having pains and abdominal distension, but I was told they were just nerve pains and what I've been eating. I know my body. I pay attention to everything I put into it. Believe me when I say I don't like feeling this way. If I could ask for one thing, it would be for all the GIs and oncologists to be on the same page. There is no standard of care for stomach cancer. There is no standard of care for stomach cancer patients with signet ring cell. I want to see more of us surviving, but we can only do that if our medical team is fighting as hard as we are to stay alive, instead of fighting us for the scans and tests that we know other stomach cancer patients are getting. We are learning every day how to be here longer. We are also seeing where healthcare is failing us. Please know that we are not specializing in stomach cancer to specializing in stomach cancer to fight it, not you, our medical team. I can only hope that during my 3rd year of a stomachless life, I am able to advocate loudly and more calmly, I hope, for all of us that are aiming for this to be just a chapter in our books and not the end of our story. Our reality is scary, but we are not giving up. There is too much to live for. This road isn't easy, but with a group of friends, sisters, who are literally walking the road you're on, it's manageable. And at times, life can still be pretty damn good. Thank you.